If you think this is just the Democrats, it's not. This is a cancer within our own party, too. But I think what they're rooting for is a two-horse race, likely between Trump and Haley. So the establishment is rooting for. Take one of them out by hell or high water, one way or another, and there you go. So do not fall into their trap. That's what I will say. It's hiding in plain sight. Step up and vote for who you think is going to best lead our America First movement to the next level. I respect the heck out of Donald Trump because he was a good president. He kept us out of war and he grew this economy. He and I have a good relationship. I'll take him as one of my most important and valued advisors when I'm in the White House. And if I was 80 years old into my second term and was wounded in this war, I wouldn't tell you to vote for me either. But we're in the middle of a war for the future of this country. I don't use that word lightly. The next president is in many ways a wartime president right here at home. It's a war between those of us who love the United States of America and our founding ideals and a fringe minority who hates this country and what we stand for. Between the permanent state, the deep state in Washington, D.C., and the everyday citizen. And if you want a commander-in-chief who's going to actually lead us to victory in that war, pick the one who isn't wounded. Now, I'll tell you where I think I'm going to be able to go a little further than Trump. But just to finish the first point, I want you to understand they will stop at nothing. And I mean nothing. They will stop at nothing. If this system is to keep this man away from the White House, do not fall for their trap. They're selling us the rope today that they will use to hang us tomorrow. Do not fall for that trick. We love the man because he got this fight started. I do. But it is our job to finish it. We owe it to this country and to our founding fathers to make sure the America First movement does not end with Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to Trump just as it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, to us, to the people of this country. 250 years more yet to go. We're just getting warmed up. I will not be part of the generation that sees this American experiment come to an end. Make our founding fathers proud. Do right by them. We have 250 years and then some still left. And they duped Donald Trump. That's part of what happened. So why wouldn't they do the same thing to me is a fair question to ask. We need a president who both comes from the outside, can break things, can actually bring a jackhammer when necessary. I've been doing that this whole race on the debate stage, and otherwise I'll bring it to Washington, D.C. Trump did too. But we also need a president who knows and deeply understands the law and the Constitution in this country. They duped him. They told him you can't fire those civil service employees because of civil service protections. Read the law. Those civil service protections only apply to individual employee firings. They don't apply to mass layoffs. I'm firing 75% of the federal bureaucracy, indiscriminate out of the gate. I'm not, you see some of the Trump comments in the last week. I'm not messing around with the FBI. I'm shutting it down. Department of Education, put Betsy DeVos on top. I don't blame him. That's just, maybe a reasonable thing for him to have done in 2016. We learned from that. Shut it down. Give the $80 billion back to parents across this country who are able to choose where they send their kids to school. They duped him. They said you can't end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants. You need a constitutional amendment. Read the Constitution. It actually does not apply to the kids of illegals. When I take office in January 20th, 2025, from that date forward, any kid of an illegal in this country will not enjoy citizenship in this country. And I know that because I understand the Constitution. They told him you can't do mass deportations because ICE only has 6,000 agents and we need more funding for ICE to be passed by Congress. That's Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Read the law. It's a section of the law. It's 287G allows ICE to serve its warrants via local law enforcement if a president instructs ICE to do it. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. Trump rolled over that log and we saw what crawled out. I'm bringing the pesticide. That's what it's going to take to get this job done. And so that's why I'm asking for you to do the right thing for our country. Hope that answers you. Thank you. We'll go right here and then we'll come over here. Sir.
We abandoned our allies in Afghanistan and left billions of dollars in equipment.
Yes.
And we're letting our enemies attack our bases, and we're doing very little to retaliate. And the world is just not sticking with us anymore because they can't trust us.
I see your hat, sir. Did you serve in the Army yourself?
20 years.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you for your service. And so you have a right to ask that question. Here's my rule. If you hit us, we hit you back 10 times harder, period. No questions asked. That has to be the case. It's like how I tell my son, I don't teach my kids to go be a bully. Don't go in search of monsters to destroy. To borrow John Quincy Adams's famous admonition. He was actually a Secretary of State before he became the president, and he became a congressman afterwards. We go not in search of monsters to destroy, but if the monsters find us, we will hit them back 10 times harder. You don't let somebody bully you. That's the answer. Now, there are separate questions to ask, which is that we're engaged in parts of the world where I don't believe we should be, like in Ukraine is where I believe. And I don't know if we may have a different opinion on this or not, sir, but I don't believe this war advances our interest. We're sending $200 billion of our money that drives Russia further into China's hands. And the Russia-China military alliance, that's what we need to be standing up to. Because the Russia-China alliance, Russia has nuclear stockpile capabilities and hypersonic missile capabilities ahead of the U.S. China's Navy is bigger than ours, and we depend on them for our modern way of life. And so my foreign policy is clear. I'll keep us out of World War III. I will declare economic independence from communist China. That's why we're scared of them. If that were a Russian spy balloon flying over half this country, we'd have shot it down. We didn't say a thing because it was a Chinese spy balloon. We're scared. Why are we scared? Because we depend on them for our modern way of life, from our pharmaceuticals to our military equipment, for God's sakes. Our F-35 jets are made in China, just like our American flags are, too. Most of them are. So that ends on my watch. And then we do something radical with our national defense spending, something that both parties think is such a nutty idea they couldn't even think of it. We will use our own national defense spending to secure our own homeland here in the United States of America. We're more vulnerable than we've ever been. Cyber attacks, super EMP attacks that could take out our electric grid in a matter of days, wipe out a good portion of our population. We got a border invasion, and yes, I will call it an invasion, on our southern border. If there were, 8 million people coming over for some Asian country on the west coast in the western border, we'd call it an invasion. Why is it any different when we got people from the Middle East to South America coming by the millions across our own southern border? It is an invasion. Use our military to protect against our own border threats. I'll move the military to the border on day one, southern and northern border included. Places where they shouldn't be stationed, we're not stationing them where they need to be. And then protect ourselves against missile defenses, cyber defenses, super EMP defenses, and space-based defenses. That's what you deserve in a commander-in-chief. My moral duty as your next president is to you, the citizens of this nation. I think we have people in both parties that have failed to keep that oath in the last 25 years. That changes on my watch, because if that can happen on October 7th in Israel, that can happen right here in the United States, but it won't on my watch. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I promise someone here, and then we'll come right to you. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming again.
Thank you.
You've emphasized throughout your campaign that you're your campaign's largest donor.
Yes.
However, upon delving into some of your financial activities, I've come across some intriguing connections. Your biotech company recently secured $5 billion from Roche Pharmaceutical after reportedly costing $15 million to develop, and it was a gift from Pfizer. Furthermore, your hedge fund, Strive, is backed by controversial figures like Peter Thiel and Bill Ackman. Given these relationships, how can you assure voters that your decisions as presidents are not influenced by the interests of big pharmaceutical companies and investors with controversial backgrounds?
Yeah, I appreciate hard questions. I think you got to open your eyes and see it. But I mean, first of all, Peter Thiel, he's been, I think he's a smart guy. I like him. I don't agree with him on everything, but he backs Strive. Let's figure out what Strive is. Do you know what Strive does, sir?
I've looked into it just a bit.
Well, maybe I would recommend you look into it a tad more, because the ESG movement is a cancer on American politics. Raise your hand if you know the words ESG. All right? So BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard are using your own money to the tune of $24 trillion to vote for policies in corporate America's boardrooms that most people in this room and in this country do not agree with, and that don't advance our best financial interests, for climate emissions caps, for racial equity audits, using our own 401k accounts to do it. And so you got cultural, political commentators in the conservative world, who I appreciate and like, will point this problem out. But we conservatives, we don't do a damn thing about it when we need to. So I say, you know what, I'm going to solve this through the market when necessary. I started the most successful anti-ESG competitor to BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard. That was Strive, We created the same kinds of investment products that compete with them, but we tell companies, knock it off with the left-wing politics, focus on what maximizes profit for shareholders. And yes, to find allied investors for that, it's not going to come from Larry Fink. It's going to come from my own pocketbook. It's going to come from the likes of Peter Thiel or the likes of Elon Musk in other cases who have pushed back against this. And so we have to step up in every sphere of our lives, or else we're going to have no country left unless we step up and fight the other side on their own turf. But one of the things I learned from that experience is that still the head of the snake is really the mother of all bureaucracies, the one in the federal government. The reason this ESG movement spreads, the reason pharma is able to be as corrupt as they are, is that they're able to capture the government that does them special favors in return. That's not capitalism, it's crony capitalism. And so I don't understand this in the way that a politician does, because most of these people are pawns on a chessboard that don't know the first thing about what they're saying. I understand I'm the only candidate who has told you I will strip vaccine manufacturers of the special shield that they have that stops them from being sued. Why am I the only candidate that's pledged to strip back that vaccine manufacturer liability? The only candidate who said I will rescind Biden's ESG rule, because I understand this and I understand it deeply. There's a good part of your question, though, and I think this hasn't come up in this campaign and it hasn't come up in prior campaigns. I'm different than Trump and I'm different than pretty much every other president in either party, too. I believe the right thing for the U.S. president to do is actually to divest from their own holdings and have their own investments managed separately with complete blindness to what they do or don't own. I do think that's the right thing to do, and that's what I would do as your president, because I think that my sole allegiance, it's like I said to the gentleman here, the veteran, my sole duty as your president is to you, the citizens of this country, not another one and not to my pocketbook or anybody else's. And so our family, my wife here, I'll call Purva up here. She got here a little late. She's a throat surgeon. She saves lives every day. We're doing this together because this is about the life of our country. We've put more of our personal wealth than all of the other candidates combined into this, tens of millions of dollars. And I'm 38 years old, and at our stage, we didn't inherit it. Nobody donated that to us. That was money that we earned through our own hard work and dedication, because we made a decision we'd rather do that than to be somebody else's circus monkey. I'd rather lose this election and speak the truth than to win by playing some fake political snakes and ladders. And so I want you guys to open your eyes up, because you have a choice to make. You got to be skeptical of what anybody tells you. But ask yourself, why am I the only candidate in this race who can tell you that I will shut down the FBI, not build some new building for it? That I will oppose the carbon capture pipeline making its way across half of this state in the name of a climate change agenda that absolutely is a hoax, because it has nothing to do with the climate. That the use of eminent domain, even the most powerful people in Iowa, mega donors and otherwise, have silenced every other candidate, including the one you asked me about. Well, I'm not bought and paid for by that same interest. I would rather lose than to be shut up, sit down, and do what you're told. To tell you Ronna McDaniel needs to resign as the failed chairwoman of the RNC because it's the right thing to do for this country. And she tells me I won't get another cent of funding from the RNC. Well, fine. I'll deal without it. As I said, I'd rather lose and speak the truth than to win by playing some fake game. That I'll pardon every peaceful protester on January 6th on day one in office. Ask yourself, thank you. And at a certain point, you only get to be an outsider once. I think that's the hard truth. Maybe 8 years in, I go in and part of that system. Maybe I would like to think it's not going to happen to me, but maybe some of it rubs off too. Get me the heck out of there and get some new blood in. But I'm the outsider in this race, and I think it's going to take somebody with fresh legs who thankfully has been able to succeed on my own merits, thankfully to the blessings that this country has given both of us, to be able to declare independence from what has been the corrupting force in American politics. That is the super PACs and the mega donor puppet masters in both parties. And so I thank you for the question. Take a look at Strive, and I think you'll understand exactly what I mean.
You answered my question, and I'll caucus.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, man. I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you. Right to you. Thank you.
So I'm kind of piggybacking off of him and the military, and my question is kind of in two parts. As far as the current military, right now, I'm recently separated a couple years ago, And right now, their biggest concerns are mandating the COVID vaccine and mandating separation if they won't take the vaccine. Also, in your truths, they're worried about transgenders and being, I can't think of the word, worrying about the transgenders. How are you going to ensure that the mission is most important in building that back and building a stronger militia with our individuals, but also taking care of our veterans and making sure that they're taken care of and not homeless, and as well as making the VA better?
Yeah, those are big questions. The Air Force is where you serve? Give this woman a thank you for her service. Thank you. So I'll come to the second part second because it's very practical. On the first part, we need to clean house at the Pentagon. I think that you got the General Mark Milley's of the world that tried to deflect. The left used to criticize people like him for the Iraq War. So the deal they made, I mean, this is the dirty little secret behind all of this, actually. The deal they made was the same deal that the big banks made for the 2008 financial crisis. See, I want you to see the connection here. These seem like they're two different topics. They're related. The 2008 crisis, the banks got bailed out by a Republican administration back then. So the left used to hit him. So the bank said, no, we'll just talk about DEI and ESG and muse about the racially disparate impact of climate change after we fly in a private jet to Davos. That's when Wall Street got into the woke business. Same thing with the militaries. They got hit from the left for the Iraq War. And so they said, no, don't worry about it, guys. We'll just say what you want us to say, muse about systemic racism and transgenderism, when in fact they completely keep their own accountability immune. So we need to clean house at much of the Pentagon. Good men and women serving in the military at every other level, I think, are betrayed by something you said actually beautifully, the absence of mission. Right? When you lack that sense of mission and purpose, and that comes from the commander-in-chief, that's when the poison fills the void. So I think part of what we need to do is restore the purpose of the military, win wars, and more importantly, be strong enough to avoid the wars in the first place and protect our homeland. When you lose that sense of mission, you got this vacuum, this poison that fills the vacuum. On the transgender issue, I have an easy answer for you on that. It's because they debate, are you going to have a transgender ban or not? It's already banned because the Supreme Court, this is where the transgender movement scored its own goal. They claimed that counts under the Americans with Disabilities Act for them collecting disabilities benefits, which the courts of this country have already upheld. Well, that means that you by definition cannot serve in the military. It's a mental health condition. That's what it is. It's a psychiatric disease that needs to be treated as such. And especially for kids, it's not compassionate to affirm those kids' confusion. That's not compassion, that is cruelty. So we're going to treat it accordingly on my watch. And then how do we take care of our veterans? This isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. This is basic things we can do. Give them paid 6-week decompression buffers coming back from combat roles that are paid. That brings down PTSD by 80% if you do that. Give them privacy protections to report their PTSD. Right now, they're afraid to because they'll get tagged with the red flag law. This is a little spicy for the Republican Party, but it's what I believe, so I'll tell you this one. Medical choice for veterans. Deschedule Schedule I drugs for veterans who are suffering from PTSD to get appropriate treatment through the VA. It beats fentanyl and suicide or turn into the streets where many of our own veterans are ending up. I'll come from the private sector. One of the things you learn is the CEO of a company, the pay is set by the shareholders. I think we need to treat our veterans as the shareholders of the VA, actually. Well, that'll make actually the top brass more accountable to the veterans themselves. So a country that doesn't stand for its veterans isn't a country, right? You're just going through the motions. And the most practical thing that I'll tell you is veterans benefits and compensation for those serving in the military should not be subject to federal taxation. That's what I also believe in, standing for our own veterans who are long in need of that extra boost. Thank you very much for your question. Sir.
Want to ask you how, Democrats are so united on one common goal. I don't know if it's probably because they're mostly cowards, but how are you going to unite the Republican Party? Because there's such a great divide. Nobody agrees on anything.
So can I say something to you, sir? I'm just going to reframe that because this is how I see it. What pulled me into the race is I see a Republican Party that's fractured and has grown lazy. But the real answer is we don't stand for anything. It's just a label. It's a hollowed out husk. Who are we and what do we stand for? What does it mean to be a Republican in the year 2024? And then see that as an opportunity. Let's just change the question. What does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? Let's answer that question. To me, it means we believe in the ideals of 1776. Ideals like merit and the pursuit of excellence, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. The idea of free speech, that you get to speak your mind, and you do too, as long as I get to in return. That's a radical idea, and we stand by it. That we believe in the rule of law, and I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country, that your first act of entering this country can't break the law because we're a nation founded on the rule of law. Here's the big one for me, and I think this is the opportunity for the Republican Party here. 2 principles. The people we elect to run the government should be the ones who actually run the government, not the deep state in the shadow bureaucracy, lay off 75% of the bureaucrats, shut down agencies, zero-based budgeting. And then the people who we do elect, they owe a sole duty to the citizens of this nation, not another one. Now, I think if we define what it means to be a Republican on these basic principles, that in the year 2024, we believe in the 1776 ideals, that we're the pro-American party, we win this election in a landslide. Like what Reagan did in 1980. That's what my job is to deliver to you. So I don't sit here bashing Joe Biden, partly because it's a waste of time. He's not even the president. Not in any real sense. He's not, really. He's a puppet for the managerial class. And you got puppets in the Republican Party just the same. But instead, revive what the Republican Party actually is. And see, this is the dilemma for conservatives right now. Part of being a conservative, it's in the word, you conserve certain traditions, values, ideals. What happens when the thing that you're conserving, that we're conserving, ceases to exist? We have to recreate those ideals. And that's a dilemma for us because usually we're wired as being defensive, right? We're defending something. But the thing that we're defending is largely gone in this country. And I think that's why I say we live in a 1776 moment. Thomas Jefferson didn't start with an existing piece of paper that he defended. He took out a blank sheet of paper and wrote it out. It's called the Declaration of Independence. And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking, sir?
27.
Okay. He was exactly between your age and mine. He was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. There's a reason why these revolutions, these revivals, are led by the next generation. And I think now more than ever, we are in the middle of a war in this country, as I said. We deserve a commander-in-chief, a general who will lead us to victory. That has to be somebody who can't be captured by the special interests. I think right now more than ever, it needs to be a general with fresh legs from the next generation to reach and lead the new generation, your generation. I have an obligation to you to make it so. So that's my answer. We'll come to you, sir.
As a first-time voter and an 18-year-old, I was just wondering, what priorities should I look for in stances on things when it comes to a candidate?
I have 2 suggestions for you. If I was in your shoes and knowing what I know now. What's your name?
Josh.
Josh. I think the 2 things that matter, there's a lot I could say. There's a third I'll add because I don't think it's hard. It's be hard for me to tell you to look for this. But the 2 that I would tell you to look for is a president who will relieve you of a burden you're carrying on your shoulders that you didn't know you were carrying. Right now you're carrying about $200,000 of debt you didn't sign up for on your shoulders. You deserve a president who will relieve you of that because you didn't sign up for it. That's not fair. And I think you deserve a president who isn't going to be dead and gone by the time you can actually hold them accountable for it. I mean that. So how do we fight that national debt? There's the long version, but I'll give you the short version today. How do you do it without betraying the older generation of Social Security and Medicare benefits. That's what the rest of the Republican Party wants to do. Cut Social Security to ship more money to Ukraine. That's America last. Not on my watch. In fact, I'll tell you, if we have time, how we would increase Social Security benefits. Many older people aren't getting what they paid into it. That's part of what we need to ask. But to your generation, my point is a different one. We will get the oil and natural gas out from under our ground, sell it. We buy down $8 trillion of our national debt that way. $7 trillion of our national debt came from wars in Iraq and then the occupation in Afghanistan that we botched. For God's sake, the Taliban is still in charge 20 years later, and Iraq is more broken than when we showed up. Don't make those same mistakes in places like Ukraine. And then literally cut. I'm going to make Javier Milei look like a moderate by the time I'm done in my first year in office, right? Cut 75% of that federal bureaucracy and cut deep. Some people are afraid of, there's a risk you don't cut enough or you cut too much. You take a little muscle. I'm willing to take that risk. We'll take the risk of bringing the chainsaw, and maybe we cut a little bit muscle, but we'll grow back what we need to, rather than to not cut enough because then it grows right back. That's the first thing you need to look at. Who relieves you of that national debt? And the second thing is, who will make sure that you don't have somebody else's gun over your shoulder in somebody else's trench fighting a war that doesn't advance our interests, God forbid, World War III. And I think I'm the candidate who's offered the clearest strategy for doing things like deterring China from going after Taiwan, but doing it in a way that actually prioritizes U.S. interests rather than being drawn into places like Ukraine or otherwise. That's what I would advise you to. Then there's the third point I would give you. It's hard for me to advise you to see it this way, but I see it this way when I look at your generation. I have two sons. We have two sons. They're asleep still on the bus if we're lucky. Yeah, but if there's one thing I tell you when we leave office in January of 2033, there's a lot that's on the list. Shut down the deep state, seal our borders, kept us out of World War III, declare independence from China, grow this economy, all of that. But the thing that's probably most important to the two of us is that we will revive national pride in this country. That our two sons, that you and your generation, that you are once again proud to be citizens of this nation. And I'm glad to see a few young people coming out today. What I see amongst, I'll put it this way, we're in different generations, but our generations is that we are lost right now. We're hungry for purpose and meaning and identity at a time in our national history when the things that used to fill that void, faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family, these things have disappeared. And that's when the poison fills the void, from transgenderism to climatism, to COVIDism, to depression, to anxiety, to fentanyl, to suicide. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And I'll close on this, and I may head outside and actually leave you with Apurva to take a few of your questions. I know we were late as well. We need a president who revives our national character. The policy questions, we have great policy questions, and those are important. But half the job of the next U.S. president, and maybe this too is part of my answer to you then, is who can you look up to and say, maybe I want to grow up and be like him, actually? That too is, I think, part of the standard that every parent should apply, and maybe even every 18-year-old deserves in their next president. That's what Reagan said when he left office in January of 1989. Of everything he could have picked, and there was a lot of good he did for this country, the thing he said was we revived our national character that we lacked. I think that's half the job of the next U.S. president. And I think if we get this right in the moment we're in right now, then we don't have to be this nation in decline anymore. We don't have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. I think as a nation right now, we're really, like you actually, a little young. That's the way I see it. I think that's what George Washington would say if he were alive today. If he came here today, he would say, I see a nation that is still young, going through our own version of our adolescence, figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it makes sense again, actually. You go through your adolescence, you go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. Probably not you, but some of us do some stupid things. I did some stupid things. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. And so, no, I don't think we have to be this nation in decline. I think we still can be a nation in our ascent. Maybe even the early stages of our ascent, actually. Maybe we're not even at base camp. On our way still to that shining city on a hill. That country where we will look, my kids, and is this your son? Mm-hmm. Proud of him for asking a question today. Your generation in the eye, and tell you that this is still the country where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, that you will get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You're all free to speak your minds at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are in this race to lead us to. And with your help, and that's what we're asking you for, with your help, that's what we're going to revive to save this country. People like us aren't meant to do this. We're coming in from the outside, not products of the existing system. Much of the system doesn't want to see us in this race. You see that sign every day. But we can do this because Iowa goes first. Every one of your votes on that Iowa caucus is like the equivalent of 1 million people showing up. So thank you for that million, sir. I appreciate that. It's amazing. I mean, it's done this way because there's no social media algorithms distorting what we say here. Right? There's no TV screens between us. It's supposed to work this way. And so if you all do your part, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of your time that day to save this country on January 15th, but I'm asking for a little more than that. If you can take a little time in the next 14 days and get 10 people who aren't in this room and tell them what we talked about here and bring them too. If you all do your part, then I promise you, Apurva and I and our family, we will do ours to make sure, not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our country's best days are actually still ahead of us. Thank you for coming today, guys. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our country. I think they're dragging both of us out, so we can say hello for a few minutes. You got time? Do you have time for a few minutes to say hello to everybody? Okay, good. Thank you, Esther.
This is our moment. Together, you and I, to make this man the next president of the United States of America.
There you go? Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good luck. Yeah.
Because I had everything. I'm going to go outside pretty soon.
January
Thank you.
15th, fill out a caucus card.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service to this country. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And God
Yes.
bless
Yeah,
you.
I'd like to do
that too. Here,
Thank you
tell you
very
what,
much.
you want me to take it?
Yeah. No, I got it.
He's got it. Selfies I like, actually. There you go.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I like the American flag in the background.
Thank you. Well, it's,
Best of luck.
we're here for a reason.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're here for.
Can I get a picture of
Yes,
Bob?
thank you. Thank you.
Take the second one here. There you go.
Thank you for your service to this country.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
proud of you. Thank you.
Me too. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
You still play the piano?
I do. I do.
I do too. Actually.
Oh, you do? We try to teach our boys, actually, as best we can. Thank you for saying so.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you for being
I'd
here,
like
guys.
to get a picture as well.
Oh, we'd love that. Thank you. And then would you like a picture?
Yes.
We would love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll take a picture right here.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Katie, what are you up to these days?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. We'll keep that up.
Yep, we will.
Thank you. All
I'll
the
be
best.
on your program.
Oh, thank you. That means a
Can I
lot.
get a picture with you,
Yeah,
Vivek?
let's do it.
Thank
Let's
you.
do it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next Friday, January
Got her? Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Nice meeting you, sir.
What's that?
We gotta go.
What's that?
We gotta go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
She wants to get a picture.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
said I hope I'm around.
You will be. I have full
Well, they give
confidence.
me 2 months to 2 years.
Well, we'll hope. We'll pray for the best.
Yeah.
But either way, we have a country that outlives us.
Agent Orange.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, sir, for what you've been through for this country, but we will do right by this country and the veterans. Where's the Purva?
Here.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, I'm Mark Keitlinger.
Thank you.
Nice
you.
to meet you.
It's good to see you, man.
I'm 18 inches on X.
Oh, you are? Okay,
Yeah,
good to see
and
you. I'll
so
look for you
I
then.
try and ask you questions.
Good.
I'm not trying to be confrontational. So
Oh, good.
hopefully you don't
No. I
misunderstand.
love questions.
And then,
They're good.
how are you going to destroy the cancer? I hope I'm asking it the right way.
Yeah.
Of labels.
Labels.
Because labels seem to
American.
be.
We're all American.
different,
We're
people.
American, and and I think
People
we'll start with
America, but-
and we'll start with the people,
Right.
pro-human, and then
Right.
pro-American.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I am.
the
So thank you.
labels just-
That's the right
yeah,
answer.
the
Those
labels.
are destructive.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, good to see you. Thank
Hey,
you.
Look, we're looking, Patarla Chapel and I are looking to run as national delegates, so we can
Okay.
be there to vote you in. If
That'd
we
be
need
great.
to,
I would
okay?
love that.
I don't know anything else. Colin
Because
knows about
this
it.
is gonna be a crazy year.
It is.
So yes.
We're still praying for you
Thank
and
you.
hoping you get
Thank
in. We'll be
you.
working
Thank
at
you.
the
Thank
caucus
you.
for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. I think we're going to do
We
this.
got to get one picture.
Apurva,
that's
I'll
done.
see you outside. They need me for something. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
They'll grab you. No.
Thank you for doing
Thank
what
you.
you're doing.
Thank
Take
you.
one picture real quick.
Thank you. Yes, we would love that. We would love that.
Vivek,
Thank you.
for everything. God bless you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll be one last one. Yeah, come on out. Come on out. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, man. Let's take a quick selfie. Yeah, we'll take a selfie. You'll take a selfie. Oh, you got it.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
With my family here.
Thank you.
It's-
No. I think we'll just let her.
Can you take
Is she,
a picture
is she
real
required?
quick?
Is she required for this?
Can you take a quick picture for us?
Is she required? Okay.
Get in. Thank you. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Yep.
I appreciate that,
You
sir.
got our vote, man.
Means a lot. Thank you.
One picture.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you
sure.
very much for your
You come out on January 15th, all right, guys?
Absolutely, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bring as many people as you
Thank
can.
you so much.
Count on
Really
you, man.
appreciate this so much, man.
Proud of you,
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
What's your
very
name,
much.
sir, again?
Austin Goodman.
I've seen you before. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, man.
Thank you 6 times now. I've seen you.
Good
I'll
to see
you
you.
Friday,
Yeah, no,
too.
but you got to take that responsibility seriously.
Thank you. Good luck.
And we do. Thank you, man.
Thanks for running.
Thank you. We're not going to stop till we get the job done. Thank you.
Can I get a quick picture?
Yes.
I don't know how to do this. Oh, I got.
Surely. You blokes? Blokes?
Thank you, guys.
love
Can
my
I
dog.
take a selfie?
Yeah. Ooh.
Thank you. Actually, I was thinking before you get so busy.
Thank you,
you
guys.
so
I appreciate it, my man. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. Thank you, man. Get a bunch of sign-ups. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Take care, my man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good day.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Good to see you.
I love
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Second time I've been to,
Oh, good.
been to see you. So.
Good. I'm
Glad you're
grateful for it. Thank you. We're not going to stop till we get it done.
Oh, the man has got a schedule that only.
We're going to do this. We got
I hope
330
so. I hope
minutes.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, who's this with? NBC? Hi. You're with? With NBC. Hey, good to see you. Hey, Catherine, how are you? Good. Do you want to do it in here?
Yeah, did
Okay.
you get your wife to join you?
She is right there, I
Getting
guess.
the-
She's right there, I
Please
guess.
hold.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi,
I'm Maura Barrett with NBC.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
I know you guys are really busy today.
Thank you.
Are you guys all set? Okay. Real quick, right? Yep. So we're in the final 2 weeks before the Iowa caucus. Where do you need to land position-wise on January 15th to make it out to New Hampshire, South Carolina?
Yep. We're sitting exactly where we want to be in terms of the expectations. Where we need to sit is beat the expectations that have been set for us. That's what I think every candidate needs to do. That's what Iowa is always about, is the candidates who underperform here, they're out. The candidates who overperform here have the momentum to go to the next level. So I'm confident we will shatter the media expectations that have been set. You know, the polls, which I think most of which are deeply misleading, I think they're badly missing what's happening on the ground, have been mid to high single-digit polling. I think we're going to shatter that, and I think that's going to propel us forward to the next phase of this race.
So is that somewhere in the top 3?
I think that we expect to be in the top 3. I think we have a good shot at winning the Iowa caucus, but we don't need to win the Iowa caucus for me to have a full and clear path to going all the way in the long distance. But I think it is to significantly exceed the expectations that have been set for us, as I expect we will.
Okay. So you didn't qualify for the CNN debate next week.
According to their rigged rules, yes. I mean, you take the morning consult poll where I'm at 13% ahead of Nikki Haley. Here, you have other polls that have been used by the RNC that were selectively used to say that they wouldn't use those. About 24 hours after they told us they were actually taking down the YouTube post that my campaign put up on our campaign's YouTube after it got, 200,000 views in a matter of hours? Well, Nikki Haley's identical town hall still remains up, as far as I know, as we're having this conversation.
Either way, though,
and so I think that they have a rigged system. No, I think that's going to be a disaster of a debate with respect to almost nobody in the GOP primary base really caring for what happens there. Donald Trump's doing his own thing on legacy cable media, and I'm doing my own thing on the future of media with Tim Pool, who's actually going to be coming here to Iowa doing live shows that I think are going to be far more productive for those 5 days than whatever CNN's doing.
And I'm curious, something that you've said a lot today around looking, far down the road. You say that they're not going to let Donald Trump get anywhere near the White House. Say he wins Iowa, does well in New Hampshire. What's the reality? How do you see that actually?
So I have deep concerns that the system is sending a very clear signal that they will not allow, by hell or high water, this man to get anywhere near the White House. And that gives me a sense of responsibility and duty to this country to make sure that the establishment's plan does not work as I think it has been laid out. You saw first the protests, then you see the lawsuits, then you see the prosecutions, then you see the federal prosecutions. Now you see the non-prosecution-based extra-legal removal from states from Colorado to Maine from the ballot. I've done everything I can. I've spoken out against these prosecutions at every step of the way. I've made clear that I would even voluntarily remove myself from ballots like those in Maine and Colorado if they end up taking Trump off the ballot. So I've done everything I can. But my concern is, one way or another, they will not let this man get anywhere near the White House. And I think that they are trying to prop up their favored Trojan horse as a vehicle to advance, frankly, the bipartisan establishment's agenda. And that's not going to happen on my watch. And so I have a responsibility to see this through to the very end. I would love for the voters to have the choice of who ends up being the next president. But we're already seeing plenty of signs that the system is planted to say that that's not what's going to happen this time around. And I have a responsibility to make sure that our America First movement goes to the next level, which I will lead us to as the next president.
Is that a scare tactic to get people to vote for you?
The scare tactic that's being used is by unjust prosecutors at the federal level and at the state level from Maine to Colorado. And I've spoken out against it at every step of the way. It's wrong. I'm the only candidate that's had the spine to say that I would pardon Trump on day one until others are now meekly trying to follow my lead, to say that I would support Trump wholeheartedly if he's the nominee, to say that what's happening to him in states like Maine and Colorado is wrong. I challenge Nikki Haley and Chris Christie and Ron DeSantis to say they would also remove themselves from that ballot. They haven't done it yet, but we also have to be realistic about what the system is saying. And so if Trump's the nominee, he has my support, but I expect his support if I'm the nominee. But more deeply, the system has made clear that they're taking unprecedented steps to let this man nowhere near the White House. And our America First movement is bigger than one man. It started in 1776, and we owe it to our founding fathers to see that carried forward to the next level. And I will do that without anybody stopping us taking this the distance and reviving our country at the end of it.
Can you talk about your
Thank you.
chances on
Thank you.
caucus night? You've talked about.
I think we're going to deliver a major surprise
Right.
because many of our supporters are first-time supporters, and I think we're going to, frankly, make a lot of the media's. All I'm saying, one more thing I would say I'm looking forward to is I want to have a conversation because the historical pattern with the media is lie, lie, lie again. When proven to have lied, hide from accountability. From the Hunter Biden laptop story to the origin of COVID to the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that never was. I'm still waiting for one honest anchor in the mainstream media to just look their own audience in the eye and say, hey, I apologize. We lied to you, we got it wrong, and we'll never have this happen again. I challenge your guy, Alex, who likes to write, I would say clickbaity headlines to say at least you're from a new generation of leadership. Go ahead and step up, and maybe you can do it. Or maybe, Catherine, I bet on you sooner to do it. But somebody needs to actually, from the next generation, heal that divide of trust between the media and the people. I'll look forward to having that conversation with the media with what happens on January 15th. It'll be a surprise. They'll try to sweep it under the rug, try to minimize the importance of Iowa, and try to set the same narrative they have been. And I think that we need to use every occasion we have to at least rebuild trust with the American public to say, here's the narrative we've set, here's where we were proven wrong, and here's where we own accountability. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider it. Be good for you.